Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's series covering understanding reports in Google Analytics. My own name is John, and this is my colleague.
My name is Lilia, and we'll be your presenters today.
So before we jump into today's content, I just want to cover, as part of our Google Marketing Platform on Air series, we have weekly live sessions. So if you would like to share this with your colleagues, it's super useful. We cover a host of products on the Google Marketing Platform, and we jump into trainings, and there'll be many different product experts presenting weekly. Also as well, when you sign up, you'll get a bi-weekly newsletter. As part of that, you'll get a lot of updates on our products, industry news, any opportunities on inventory, and then trainings like today as well. So you'll keep up to date. So we recommend sharing this with your colleagues as well. Before we jump into the content, I just want to quickly review everything that we're going to cover today. So as part of it, we're going to cover the reporting within Google Analytics. We're going to start on the real-time reporting, jump in a little bit about audiences, cover acquisition, behavior, and conversions. We're going to try to make everything as practical as possible so you can understand how to apply it to your day-to-day. And then before we get into questions at the very end, we're going to talk about customized reporting that's available within Google Analytics 360. So without further ado, I'd like to hand you over to Lilia, who's going to take you through the first elements of reporting.
So with reporting and analytics, with this first section, we'll cover standard reports, what is actually available within Google Analytics and what you're able to do within the Google Analytics UI. So once you implement Google Analytics on your website, Google Analytics will start collecting more than 250 metrics and dimensions that enable you to perform in-depth analysis and get quick insights. To mention that the data that is collected with Google Analytics is first-party data. It also enables you to collect first-party audiences and use them for marketing in your media buying or for targeting and personalizing on your website. Once the data is collected and hits analytics servers, then the analytics will aggregate it and write it nicely into the standard reports that are available for you to use. Just to understand what is available within GA, let's go over a few sections and the structure of the reporting in the UI. So we have 5 sections in which the reports are split. First is real time. That gives you indication of what is happening on your website right now. Then it is audience, telling you who are the visitors on your website and which characteristics they have. Then it is acquisition, telling you how these visitors reach your website. Behavior, indicating what are they doing on the website, how are they navigating the website. And finally, conversions, telling you how much those visitors are worth to you. So now we'll go over each section of the reports, telling you what are the insights you can get out of them. So first of all, real-time reporting. It basically is what it says. It tells you what is happening on your website right now. Where are the visitors, which pages they're browsing, which top referrals and traffic sources they came from, and what are your top active pages. Why this can be useful for your business is, for example, if you are doing updates to your website and doing some technical launches, it's a good way to just take a look at this report and see if everything is behaving as it should. It's a quick way to catch if you see any errors or any challenges that are popping up and do a quick modification. Another example can be, let's say you're heading into a big product launch or a big campaign. For example, with Black Friday coming our way, you can see if visitors are able to browse the website and shop. Next section is audience. So as I mentioned, it gives indication and information on who are people that are coming to your website. You can get insights such as what is the demographics of my visitors, which geography, which locations they're coming from. If you enabled Google Signals, you can see what is the cross-device behavior, see which devices, which browsers the users are coming from. A few interesting reports to note here is, for example, the interest reports. Some of you might be familiar with Google Audiences. And in this report, you can actually get information of which Google Audiences the visitors of your site belong to. For example, you can see which affinity categories are they affiliated with. Let's take example of a Google Merchandise Store. We can see that visitors that are coming to Google Merchandise Store are shoppers, they're interested in media entertainment, movie lovers, technology, and so on. As well, you can dig even deeper, so you can see the in-market segment audiences. This goes a bit further and tells you about the intent of the visitors of your website. For example, in this case, we can see that visitors that come to Google Merchandise Store, they're looking into getting software, looking for employment, travel, and so on. You as well are able to get even further insights. So in case for in-market segments, we can see that even though employment software seem to be the largest in-market audiences, travel actually has the highest conversion rate. What does this enable you to do is to understand your visitors and then use those insights for remarketing and reaching out to your visitors across the web. Then another interesting example is the behavior section of your audience reporting. It gives you insights such as new versus returning users, frequency and recency, session quality, and conversion probability. Looking here, actually session quality and conversion probability are some of our recent machine learning features and metrics that were launched on Google Analytics. We actually did a session of live streams on advanced audience capabilities, so you can learn a bit more insights on how to use them in your remarketing. But actually, let's turn back to the conversion probability report. So what it tells you, it would tell you how likely to convert are users that are coming to my website. This is a forward-looking metrics that tells you the conversion probability over the next 30 days. Looking at the Google Merchandise Store, we can see that overall we have a low conversion probability. Actually, the metric scores from 0 to 100, and in this example, we can see that our users are scored only on 0 to 50. We can also see the analysis across different channels. So for example, referral and paid search traffic appear to have the highest average conversion probability. This can give you insights into how all your media buying channels are performing and can help you adjust accordingly. And as well, you can then use these insights in your customized analysis and as well in your remarketing. Next section of the standard reports is acquisition. So what does acquisition tell us? It tells us how do users get to the platform, what are the most successful campaigns, what happens to the users that once they come to the website, so what if they bounce. You can also identify organic search keywords that you can use or avoid in your paid channels, and so on. One example here is looking at your channels reporting. So here you can see which channel actually brings the most valuable traffic to the website. In the example of Google Merchandise Store, we can see that search and direct are bringing the most users to the website. However, referral and direct actually are contributing the highest share of revenue. Something to mention here is that you can use default channel groupings. So this is Google owned assigned channel grouping, and as well use customized channel groupings if you choose to do so. That is available to you through the admin sections. So you can actually define your own channels that matter to your business the most. Another interesting report are actually Google Marketing Platform reports. To mention, that is Google Analytics 360 functionality only. So if you're using such tools as Campaign Manager, Display and Video 360, Search Ads 360, you're able to connect those tools to Google Analytics. We have a native integration, and through that you will see reporting on campaigns that are running through those tools. So in this example, we're looking at the campaigns report of the Campaign Manager, and we can see that our GMS Accessories 18 is performing equally well on view through and click through. And one of the key value propositions here is that you can as well look not only at click through, but also view through conversions. So that means people who have looked add the campaigns that you're running through Campaign Manager, and then came to the site and made a conversion. Then I will hand over to John to run you through the rest of the reports.
Perfect. Thank you, Lily. That was fantastic. So coming into behavior. So behavior is really useful when you want to understand the intent of users that have been on your site, how they've interacted with you. So some of the key areas that we can pull out across these reports are: where do people drop off on the sales funnel? How quickly are my pages loading? So we get to understand how well your site's performing. Also as well, we need to understand what people are searching for on your site as well. That's really helpful to inform us in terms of our marketing going forward. Also, we have many events set up within our site. How are they interacting with them, and what are the top ones? We want to be able to understand that so we can move stuff around, and then also as well mapping a customer's journey on your website, where they started, where they finished. Again, highlighting those things. So using those reports, we'll be able to understand if someone dropped off, how can we fix that? Is there something that we should be improving? And that's what we're going to jump into with these reports. So within the behaviors reports, we have site content. And first we're looking at the all pages report. This will give us every page that we have on our website, and this will help me to understand the highest value performing pages across my website. So then I can make informed decisions about what's bringing me the most value, what has the most traffic, and so on. So if I need to adjust my navigation path, I can be able to adjust that accordingly based on what I see here. Other areas I'll see on this are average time on a page. So that will let me know, is the content valuable or not, or if they're moving too quickly, do I need to either remove that page or enhance the content as well. We can also dig deeper into the performance as well through the page value and understand what kind of money it's bringing into our site overall. The next one, and this is one that we've highlighted as a key report that will really help to enhance your website, but mainly the user experience. So people are coming to our site to interact with our brand for one reason or another, and we want to make their user experience as enjoyable as possible. So with this report, what you'll be able to understand is the average page load time, and this is really important. The industry average is a page load time of 3 seconds. Otherwise people get impatient and they bounce and they jump off. So we can actually use this report to understand how we're doing on all our key pages. So an important call out here is the page speed score. So you can see that on the far right, and on the basket page it's currently 72. It ranges from 1 to 100. The closer you are to 100, the less improvement you have to do to your page score. The closer you are to 1, the more improvement we have to do. So if we looked at a page funnel analysis and we were following, landed on a home page, moved on to the next, and by the third page we saw a huge drop off of nearly 50%, the first thing I will be doing is checking specifically, is page speed affecting that, and then accordingly adjust where needed. So this is a great call out to use site speed in terms of enhancing user experience as well. Also looking at events, we touched on this earlier. So you have an overview of all of your events. You can drill down into the top events so we can understand how users are navigating and interacting with events on your site. So whether that's playing a video, filling out a contact us form, anything like that. But we can also then use the events flow analysis, which will allow us to map how they interact with events right throughout your site. Then moving on to the advanced analysis reports. So this can be found on the left-hand side column of your reporting tabs, and you'll see it as named as analysis. So the beautiful thing about advanced analysis is it's a very sophisticated analysis tool that allows you the functionality of drag and drop. So you can pull over segments, dimensions and metrics, and then the report will adapt accordingly. So here in this example, I've dragged across a country dimension with language above it, and then my metrics of users and revenue. Some of the other really nice features here within this report are, if you look at the first line, the United States, I can see the revenue is quite high. I can right click on that, and from there I can create a segment, or I can also create an audience directly from there. And what will happen is all of the information appending to that data set will pre-populate within an audience or a segment, and then I can use in marketing and push out to other parts of the Google Marketing Platform for use later. So if I pushed an audience out, I might want to do a loyalty program, and I might want to remarket based on that. Or because they're such high value users, I might want to push it out and build a similar audience off of that to draw in new users with similar traits.
John, I have a question. Is it possible to build segments and audiences only from the advanced analysis report?
No, you can build it across the board. It's just super useful when you're in this report that you can just do it very quickly, but we do have dedicated spaces. We have the ability to create segments, which you're going to touch on later. And then also we have an audience builder as well, where you can build audiences from directly.
Thank you.
So there's 3 types of reports in which you can build directly in advanced analysis. You have exploration, segment overlap, and funnel analysis. With segment overlap, you'll get the opportunity to see where users cross over. So imagine if we put an element in here of new versus returning, we'll see the crossover as well if there's any to be had, or if it's particular devices, we can see where they intersect. If we look at the funnel analysis, the really nice piece here about advanced analysis, this allows you up to 10 touch points. So we can build a really long customer journey and see how they behaved on our site as well. So the next area we're going to jump into is one of the final reporting sections within Analytics 360, and this is conversions. So what we want to understand and highlight here is how to navigate the conversions reporting tab. What are the kind of key drawouts you'll get here? So specifically, what is the value that it's bringing to my business? These reports will help you understand that. What channels are driving the most traffic, the most revenue? Also, are there micro conversions driving purchases later on? Also, we might want to see a sales funnel analysis, and we can see that in the e-commerce reporting. And then also understanding the attribution. How do we attribute correctly? And we'll run through that in the model comparison tool a little bit later as well. So the first report we're looking at here is the goals flow. So we want to understand how, once a particular goal is achieved, how much it's proceeding every step afterwards. So I land on a page, and then I move on to adding to the cart. So that's a goal set up within the system. Then we move on to billing and shipping, and you can see there's quite a big drop off there. But then when we move from billing and shipping over to payment, there's only a marginal drop. So we can actually follow the goal flow and understand how users are interacting. So if we go back to the cart element, the users that dropped off, we can create a condition to say anybody that made in an audience, anybody that's made it to billing and shipping, exclude them, and then create anyone that's abandoned cart, and we can retarget them with an offer. So this is really creative ways that you can look at your goals and re-engage users that might have dropped off as well. Another one that we would like to call out as a key highlight is store visits. So store visits is essentially a report here in Google Analytics that will allow you to understand when users have come to your website and then also gone to your physical stores. So this is based on you having an online offering and a physical location that stores will have heavy footfall, so we can enable that. How this is done is through the enablement of Google Signals, and we're able to map that back. So this will allow us then to understand, is Google Ads campaigns driving a large footfall to my stores, or is DV360 driving a large footfall through the store? So we can get that breakdown and understand the value that each channel is driving within our stores as well. Then that will allow us to make more informed decisions if we really want to drive an online marketing campaign to get footfall to our stores. It's really, really useful. One of the other reports here is the e-commerce. This is the overarching element. You have a host of reports within here that are super useful. So I'll touch on a few. Along the left-hand side, you should be able to see shopping behavior. You should be able to see checkout behavior and product performance, sales performance, and product list. So I'll call out a few kind of key differences. So shopping behavior will allow you to understand the user's behavior as they navigate through your site while they're shopping. Then we can take action. As I said earlier, we can identify trouble areas and see where they're dropping out. Checkout behavior is looking specifically at the checkout steps that are involved and then identify if there's trouble areas. Product performance. This is really useful, and I've seen clients use this in the past in flash sales. So specifically what they were looking at is they were looking at the highest grossing products on their site. From that, then they were mapping back, where is that sitting on the page? So their number one selling product might have been four rows down, and what they did was they moved it higher up, and then they got better performance. But this is a great report just to understand your best selling products as well on your site. Coming to the multi-channel funnels report. This again is a host of reports. There's a lot to jump into. We can have a look at assisted conversions, top conversion paths, time lag, the path length, and so on. So if we look at top conversion paths, we can understand what ones are sequencing to each other, whether it's a channel or so on, or the source medium. If we look at what I have displayed here, the model comparison tool, this is really useful when you want to understand how you're looking at attribution. So in this example, we're looking at last interaction, but we're also comparing it to data-driven. So I want to understand for my display activity on last interaction, how many conversions I'm getting and what the value is. And then I want to look at it when I put data-driven. So data-driven is looking at the last 4 touch points. I want to see now where display performs in terms of conversions and so on, where it showed up on a user's journey. How we put this into action then is optimizing our campaigns and understanding the value of each channel. Another key area to call out here is you can do this per product. As you see at the top, you'll see each one is there that's connected. So it's very important that we connect all of the linkings to Google Analytics. So we've got Google Ads linked, we've got Campaign Manager linked, we've got DV360 and SA360. So you can get as granular as you want. And if you click on Google Ads or DV360, you can get right down to, in Google Ads, the ad group level, in DV360, the line item level. And then you can really understand how they performed and then compare your different attribution models as well. So with that, I'm going to pass you over to Lilia to talk to us a little bit more about customizing your reporting within analytics.
Thank you, John. So what we covered here is going in depth into what is readily available to you. So once you open your analytics, you can just jump right ahead and open those reports and start getting the insights. However, within analytics, there are also a couple of ways that you can customize your standard reports and not only. So let's go over what are the options for you within the analytics UI. First way, and probably one of the simplest ways to customizing your reporting, is to use segmentation. So what are segments? Segments are actually filter controls that you can apply on top of almost every standard or customized reports within GA. Actually, you can apply to up to 4 segments and use them for comparing side by side the performance. So in this example, we can see our conversions goals report overview, and we can see that we look at all sessions, only direct traffic and paid traffic. And actually, you can use both pre-built reports or use customization. Something as well to call out that you can also add secondary dimensions to pretty much all of the reports and go a bit in depth there. And as I mentioned, you can use either something that was pre-built for you within the system. So as we saw before, the direct traffic versus paid traffic is something analytics sits within Analytics UI right away. As well, you can build your own segments within that customization. So there you can apply up to all of the dimensions and metrics that are available to you. So we mentioned that you have more than 250 dimensions and metrics. So you can combine all of them to get the segments that actually value to your business. So to give you an example, let's say you really want to look at customers who have been to your site more than 3 times, who have purchased from you more than 5 times, or maybe those who have high lifetime value to your business. So you can do all of that within the customization. And
just on that, earlier I mentioned if I was looking in the advanced analysis report and I said you could right click, you could build an audience or build a segment. Is the segment that I build there the same? Does it populate here with these segments, and can I overlay it to the standard reporting?
Exactly, John. So I think that would be a really good example. Once you have identified those valuable segments and you have created them through right-clicking, they will be available for you. So actually looking at the all sections or custom segments, you can find them and apply on top of your both standard or customized reports. Another good thing to call out that I think we touch upon just briefly is that as well, all of those segments that you build through advanced analysis or the ones you identified here or created here, you can convert them into audiences and start remarketing.
Super.
As well, another way to customize and transform your data is through the power of unsampled reporting. So actually, both for standard reports and for customized reports, there are a couple of ways you can export data to outside of the Google Analytics UI. You can get reports as they are through PDF or using Google Sheets or through Excel and so on. Why we decided to call out unsampled reporting is actually because it gives you access to the unsampled data of Google Analytics. And also to mention, this is Google Analytics 360 functionality only. So what it allows you to do is when you have identified a valuable standard report, you have built your own customized report, and you actually want to get the data and transform it the way you want very quickly, then you can go ahead and export it as CSV using the unsampled report. And then you can open it and use it and analyze within Excel, Google Sheets, Tableau, whichever other data visualization technique or tool you would like to use. Now I'm going to hand over to John to go over custom reporting.
Thank you, Lily. So with custom reporting, it's really useful. It can be used within the product. So this can then allow you to add any metric you would like into this report. You have a choice of reports on how you wanted to display the data. So you've got Explorer, you've got a flat table, you've got a map overlay, and then you also have the funnels as well, which you can leverage. You can add in any dimensions. A really important call out here with the custom reports, when you set them up, you can have them display within Analytics as standard. So when you open the report, it will show all of the setups that you've required, whether it's the map overlay or a funnel. Another key area is if you title your report, just say John's test report, when we go into custom dashboards, I can then link my custom reports directly to a dashboard. So within custom dashboards, I can either take the URL that's appended for this custom report, or I can take the title and then display the data there. So I have a one-stop shop that will allow me to go into my dashboards and see all of my custom reports there. I can quickly look at all 12 of them and just get a great overview of what's happening. So that's really useful. This can be used within the product if you're most familiar with Analytics 360, or also as well, you can look at Data Studio as well for that visualization as well with your reports. One of the other key areas we would like to call out are custom dimensions. What custom dimensions are it's a facility that allows you to collect data that's not typically tracked by analytics automatically. So how a lot of our users use custom dimensions to date are to get offline data into analytics, and then we can use that in campaigns going forward. So if we want to do offline to online, we would use data import or measurement protocol, and we would set custom dimensions up as the join key for that new data that we're not automatically tracking. So it's really, really useful. If you want to know more about it, you can look up custom dimensions in our analytics help center, but it's really, really beneficial. It's one I would stress where you want to enrich all of your online data with not typically tracked data points, whether it's online from your site or also on the offline environment as well. So with that, we're going to switch over to the questions, and we have a couple of questions submitted already. So we'll start there. We'll read out an overview of the question, and then we'll jump straight into the answers as well.
So do you want to take the first one?
Yes. So what we're looking at here is how we can best analyze Google Ads site link performance against our campaigns. So I touched on this earlier. We have the e-commerce reports, so specifically product performance. So if you want to understand how a product was selling, Lilia touched on it. We have a lot of secondary dimensions in which you can choose from. So you can get a secondary dimension to show up alongside your product, and the one I would choose in this case is for Google Ads. And again, as I mentioned, you can have at the campaign level, or you can go down to the ad group level. You can even go down to the creative level as well. So putting the product on one side and putting the campaign on the other will actually allow us to understand the connection and performance that led to the sale of that product. The next question I'll leave to you, Lilia.
Yeah. So the second question is, what is the best way to analyze user path? So I think we touched upon that a little bit already. So there are a couple of ways that you can start looking at when you want to understand how customers or visitors are browsing on your website. So one would be to look at some of the standard reports. So for example, the goal flow report will give you indication of which goals are users completing and how are they going through that flow. The second way would be to utilize customized reporting. So you have the capability to build funnel reporting and then define pages or funnels and pages or goals that you want your users to go through. So that's the second way. I think as well, John went through the advanced analysis. So there you could see we also have funnel capabilities where you can use up to 10 steps to analyze the flow of the customers. And as well, something we can call out is that is the capability within the Analytics UI. However, you have the possibility to get the data from Google Analytics into tools such as BigQuery, for which we have native integration. And there you can apply advanced analysis and analyze to as many touch points or as many steps that you would like to look at.
One of the next questions we have is understanding there's so many features that are with Analytics 360 and outside of the standard ones of like turning on demographics, linking Google Ads and so on. What are the kind of other value ads that we should be adding in? What features should we be enabling, and then what is beneficial to us? So here what we do when we're looking at this is the features, we try and map them based off of your business goals. So where you have a Google counterpart working with you on analytics, or if you're working with a partner or an agency, you can discuss that with them, say, these are my business goals, and then you can map the features to it. So I've laid out a couple of examples here on the features that we would enable and where it makes practical sense. So example one would be looking at, we're running DV360 campaigns. I would then create a linking between Google Analytics and DV360. I get all of the data into Analytics, and it allows me to look at how the campaigns performed. I can then go to, like I mentioned earlier, the multi-channel funnels report and look at how the DV360 performed against other channels, and then understand the return on ad spend as well. So I can understand the value. Another example would be looking at the feature of data import. So we would be looking at using that to bring data in and append it to already existing data. So the likely use case of that would be you have a CRM system, the user already exists in analytics, and we want to create a join key to bring anything coming from like maybe the CRM system from a call center, or if it's a data lake, we want to append that in. We could use data imports. There's another feature you could use. Another, but not last, because there's so many more that we could go through, and as I said, it really depends on what you're trying to achieve. If you have an online presence and a brick and mortar store, you could look at Google Signals. Google Signals, once enabled, gives you the opportunity to access a host of features. One I touched on earlier was store visits. Outside of that, you could look at cross-device reporting. So that will allow you to understand through the signed-in users the relationship that they have between devices. So you get access to cross-device reports, super useful as well. Anything that I haven't covered here, we do have on our Hangouts and Air series, the GA Health live stream. So if you go back into our library, you'll see specific areas relating specifically to the feature adoption that you can look at that are really good for your business.
Thank you, John. Next question is actually a double question. So I'll answer part by part. So first one, is there any need of customized reports if I'm creating my reports using Data Studio? So it's something to call out here, maybe not everybody knows, but Data Studio is a free data visualization tool that is provided by Google. And actually, to answer that, if you need to use both or use what is the benefit of customized reports, I think as well it really depends on your business needs and what you want to achieve and how you operate in your organization. Customized reports is just a quick, easy way to use the UI. So if you want to do something within the UI, then you can do that. And if you're more comfortable there, it gives you the same capabilities pretty much as Data Studio. I think as well, if you want to have more control and maybe you don't want everybody in the organization to have access to the analytics, then you can use Data Studio to as well harness the same data visualization capabilities. So you can build your customized reports and just share them across the organization in nice dashboards. So that is a bit more narrower way to do that. I think as well something we mentioned within the customized reports that you can get out the data in as unsampled reports, which is not possible within the Data Studio. So again, really take a look and see if you have all of the features and all of the capabilities within Data Studio, then use what makes sense for your business at this given moment. And then the second question there was, how can I get search ads campaigns, Facebook ads spent in Google Analytics reports? So I believe by search ads, you mean Search Ads 360. So we touch upon that briefly. Actually, Google Analytics has native integration with our own media buying tools, so such as Search Ads 360. So if you're using both, make sure to connect them. And there you are able to bring in cost data from Search Ads into Google Analytics and analyze it within the Google Marketing Platforms reports that we just saw in the acquisition piece. And then for Facebook ad spend, so we at the moment there is no native integration with Facebook. However, there are a couple of ways or a couple of things you can do. So one, make sure to look at the data import feature within Google Analytics. One of the features there is that you can bring in cost data, various cost data. So take a look there. That would probably enable you to bring the Facebook cost data as well. So let's see if that caters to your use case. And as well, there are a couple of partners that have developed solutions. So some of our certified partners on Google Analytics have developed various solutions. So take a look, there is a big library and a lot of use cases, and see what would cater to the use case that you're mentioning here.
Perfect. So the next question we have is on roll-up properties within Google Analytics. How can we set them up, and how can we connect it then to something like Data Studio? So currently the creation of the roll-up property is done via a request. So what you would need to do is you need to reach out to your Google counterpart, or possibly your partner if you're working with a partner, and make the request. You'll need to give the property IDs so that we can make the association and create one roll-up property and then associate, and then all of the data will filter up. You can then also connect via Data Studio. If you go on to the Data Studio Help Center, you'll be able to follow the step-by-step process about how you go from linking an account, a property, and a view. So you can then go ahead and do that. It's very straightforward.
Next question, how can we work with BigQuery to analyze GA360 data and bring the data to segments on GA360 to create audiences? Right, so I think we mentioned a little bit. Analytics, as we said, analytics collects a lot of data. So what we went through today is actually what is available for you in the UI. However, you can bring that data into BigQuery. As I mentioned earlier, there is a native integration. So all you have to do is just have your cloud project and then go into the admin section and enable the export. Once the data is exported into BigQuery, and also why you would want to do that is just to have a bit more control, or if you want to have perform a bit more advanced analysis. So for example, the path analysis that we mentioned earlier, that would be available to you within the BigQuery, or if you want to perform use other advanced analysis techniques such as, for example, cluster analysis as well, you can do that. And in BigQuery you will have access to all heat level raw data available to you to transform and use. You just need to be comfortable with SQL to perform that analysis. Part of the question here was to bring in segments to GA360. So I guess what was meant here is that once you perform that analysis within BigQuery, you can as well identify other insights or maybe valuable segments of your users. So for example, let's say you identify users who are most likely to buy some of your products, or identify the most valuable users to your business. So after that, you as well are able to bring that data through back to Google Analytics. And then as well, all of the data that comes back and sits, let's say, in custom dimensions or custom metrics, you can as well use to perform analysis, create segments, and as well convert them into audiences, and then effectively use them for your remarketing.
The last question we have is about the data-driven attribution model. The bones of the question initially are, can we look at more than 4 touch points in this model? Right now, no. It only looks at 4 touch points. Is there any other way we could look at more touch points to help us to understand how to assess video and display value? So yes, there are other models within the attribution offering within analytics that allow you to look at more touch points. Some of them are the likes of time decay, which is exponential and gives credit as it gets closer. We could look at something like position based, which gives credit at the start, which is of 40%, and then everything in between is 20, and the last touch point 40. So it kind of helps to balance out first to last interaction, and then shares equally across everything in between. Now, what I would recommend is going to our Analytics Help Center and looking at the attribution models that are accessible. There's some really nice use cases where that show underneath each attribution model after they explain what they are and how they accredit, and then where it makes sense to use them and what type of campaigns. To answer the question as well, you can also look at what Lilia mentioned about looking at unsampled reports, drawing all of your data out. If you have the capabilities or you want to work with a partner, you can export all of your data out, and you can actually build your own attribution model based on what your criteria is as well. So that's some of the key areas that we've seen some of our clients do that are looking to have kind of wider touch points. But definitely go to our help center, look at the different attribution models with more touch points and where they're applicable in the type of campaigns that you're running. So with that, that's all of our questions. Thank you very much for your time. I would just like to remind you again, Please share this with your colleagues. As I said, we'll have weekly live on-air sessions. I think we have coming up next is SA360. At the end of November, we're going to be touching more on analytics and specifically around app and web. So that's definitely a hot topic at the moment, and it's one you don't want to miss. So with that, thank you very much.
Thank you so much and have a lovely day.
Take care.